Good evening, Williamsburg County citizens. I'm going to give folks just a few minutes to go ahead and join us for this question and answer forum, and for me to provide you with the necessary information you're going to need for the upcoming public hearing. So, and it's in regards to the budget. So I'm just going to give you a few moments. Can everyone hear me okay? Make sure I'm loud enough. Anything, guys? Okay, just want to make sure they can hear me. All right.
Well, let's see. One person signed up. Clarissa Jody Smith, counselor, is watching.
Okay. Can you hear me okay, Clarissa?
Sounds good.
The purpose of this meeting pretty much is to go over what the options that have been presented. It seems to be a lot of information going out. Some information good, some information is bad. So I'm hoping this evening to clear up some of the concerns that our citizens may have regarding some of the options that have recently been presented to council in regard to the budget deficit that we are facing or have been faced with. So what's our numbers look like, guys?
15.
15. My magic number is usually about 20, 22. So once we can get that many people on, we can go from here. Concern. My magic number is usually. Eminem, you tend to do that every single live feed. All right, just a few minutes. Make sure I got all my stuff ready to go. Missing something.
Sounds good.
All right, video. How are we looking, team?
17.
I'm missing option. I'll get my updated sheet. You said how many? We still got 17?
Mm-hmm.
Good. If you're just joining us, I'm just waiting for a few folks to get to actually sign on so that we can go over some of the options in regards to our concerns about our budget deficit.
Mark 20.
22?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We can go ahead and get started. Again, thank you all for joining me this evening. I know this is around people's dinner time, but I was hoping that we can get as many people as we want to kind of explain the concerns about our ongoing problem with our budget. As most of you know, when I took office in January of 2019, I was faced with a lot of concerns, a lot of issues that we needed to get some to resolve. One of the major things that we identified in March of 2019 is that we were going to find ourselves in a deficit a deficit that would begin to affect us in the 2019-2020 budget season. So we were trying to do everything we could at that point to try to figure out how we were going to settle that issue and to move on with county business. However, some of you have been following along. We presented some early on options to prevent this from any of this from happening, and for us to meet our goals and our deadlines. However, we were the council decided to take another action, which included to revert back to the 2018-2019 budget season. Even still with that, and when I say revert back to, they went back to the numbers and the budgetary numbers for that previous year, which were unbalanced still. So now we're here in the 2019-2020 fiscal year still working with 2018-2019 numbers, which is pretty much, we can't do it. We can't do it largely because we have unfunded mandates that we have to meet for the 2019-2020 season. So I'm just going to read some of those. I'm going to read them all down to you. That way you'll be able to have an idea of what we're facing still today, even after the July deadline for the budget was passed. So we're looking at, again, our EMS full-time salaries, their FICA and retirement, which was unfunded in the amount of $594,163.18. That's $594,163.18. We are trying to pay back a transfer back to the capital project sales tax that had been withdrawn from the capital project sales tax. So we have to make payments back on that, which ended up being about $76,212 that we were trying to afford to get done during this budget season, to start making payments from that $457,000 withdrawal that had been done previously before I took office. Tax assessor salaries, FICA, that was not budgeted in the 2018-2019 budget in the amount of $50,848.54. The county reassessment, which is a state mandate, must be done every 5 years. That's the amount that came to the amount of $70,972. The auditors' salaries, FICA, that were not budgeted in the 2018-2019 budget season was about $14,257.48. The auditors' boats and motors software, as you all know, those of you who own boats and motors, you've seen some increases on your taxes. Well, that was largely because of a state mandate in which they had to not only charge you for the current year, but also the previous year. So that had nothing to do with Williamsburg County government. That was all state mandated. And for us to purchase that software, in order for us to do this, it cost $19,446.56. South Carolina retirement system, their rate changed in 2020, causing us to have a $9,961.60 deficit. Police officers' retirement also changed in 2020, went in the amount of $6,463.91. Health insurance rates changed in 2020 to about $69,549.60. Workman's comp rates changed in 2020 to the tune of about $51,354. And our average utility increases 1% generally every year. So that amounted to roughly about $6,918. So the total estimated expense that was not included in the approved budget for the 2019-2020 season was $970,146.87. Now, $970 and close, roughly $971,000 is roughly about, what we're missing. And most of these are unfunded mandated. Some of them occurred prior to me taking over. However, it is a deficit that we must take care of. I am not the kind of supervisor that believes in what you have on paper, because what you have on paper does not tell you anything about what you have in your bank accounts. Now, people have gone on and said that this has never happened before. This all of a sudden when I took office, this is what happened, because we've always had a balanced budget. You didn't always have a balanced budget, Williamsburg County citizens. What it looked like on paper was a balanced budget, but what counts is what's in the account. And that did not, at no time was that budget, I can say, speak in reference to at least the term that I took over, it was not balanced. I don't know about other times, but I just know previously it was not balanced, and now it is still not balanced. So in an effort to try to clear up this clutter one time, we have put some options out there. Now, what's in your bank account? I have sent, I have made readily available to our members of council copies of all of our bank statements. Every single account that the county owns is available for them to review. It is a public document as well, and available to the public under FOIA requests. So anyone have the opportunity to actually look at what's in the bank accounts. So I'm open to that. Anything that I can do to keep our government transparent is what I'm about. I'm a transparent supervisor. I don't mind sharing information with our citizens. Now back to the part of budgets not being balanced. If we don't have it in our bank account, or at least a what I call a simple or an accurate way to forecast future revenue, and when I say accurate, I want to know what it looked like for the past 5 years. What were you generating from this particular revenue source in 5 years? That will give us a good estimate as to what we should be getting in whatever year we're working on. Should go back 5 years as a good rule of thumb. And some of the revenue sources have been inflated to suggest that we had more money. And that is not true. Because again, it boils down to what do you have in your bank account cash-wise, not assets. What do you have to spend? Because most of your general fund items come out of a bank account. So if you don't have enough money in the bank, what do you think is going to happen? You're probably going to bounce some checks. That's the general. That's just speaking more, at our level as far as, having checking accounts. The other thing is the auditor came in and gave an audit. Her audit was for the end of the 2018 year. And basically what she said, and you can rewind it to the auditor's report, it's on Facebook. I keep all recorded, whether it's budget work sessions or council meetings, are on Facebook for your review, as well as I believe now YouTube for your review. You can go in there, you can listen again to what people have had to say. But according to the auditor's statement, we had been going downhill for the last 3 years. And we were losing approximately $1 million a year. And if we keep at that rate, then when we get to a point in the next few years, again, we're going to be in a place where we don't ever want to see ourselves in. And I'm sorry, this is my administration, and I'm not going to let us go down without a fight. Whether that's cutting spending, whether that's doing whatever I need to do to make sure that we do not bankrupt this county. We have to look at, in terms of, she also spoke about the fact that within 3 years ago, we did have enough money to sustain us for 3 months. Now we're down to 30 days. We have 30 days worth of funding to sustain us. Now that was a significant drop from 22% down to about 11% right now. Again, if you want to fact check me, please review the auditor's findings, and she'll tell you in her own words, in her own video, exactly where we are financially. We're in bad shape right now. And I have to figure out a way to get us back to where we were. Again, this was not my problem. I did not start this issue. However, it's my responsibility not to place blame, but to correct it and make sure that we move forward with solutions, options, anything I need to do at this point to get this county moving. So I bring you to the alleged recommendations. On October 7th, my finance director and I got together and came up with some options. Option one was we recommended to members of council that we remove all of our hardware and software line items that were earmarked in the 2019 GOB bond. And that would have generated $94,025.84. The other part of that option was to reduce other budget line items. So, and under the other budget line items were code enforcement contractual service in the amount of $20,000, roads and bridges machine and equipment repairs $15,000, landfill machine and equipment repair $5,000, as well as the summer intern program for $43,060. And any outside appropriations that were non-mandated, non-mandated by the state or the federal government. So that would have given us about $91,731. So all of those reducing other line items brought us to roughly about $174,791. We were also asking our citizens to help bail us out. And what I mean by bail us out is a $21 temporary emergency fee on 35,000 parcels, which would have given us about $735,000, equaling it all out to about $1,003,816.84. So that would have more than covered our deficit and given us some wiggle room if something else had come up. Number 2 option was to remove all hardware and software line items that were earmarked in the 2019 GOB bond in the amount of, again, $94,025.84. Reduce other budget line items, for which I've already listed those items, in the amount of $174,791. And to do a now $20 temporary emergency fee on 35,000 parcels, which would have given us $700,000. That total would have given us $968,816.84. So it would have been just below a few $1,000s below our needed revenue. Option 3 was to reduce the hours of the recycling centers to only having them open on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Now, right now, recycling centers are open 6 days a week. So in order for us to, we felt that this could be an option, simply because most people don't throw their trash out every single day. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And that can be played around with timing wise, what's the highest volume, but we did do a study to determine that these are usually the higher volume days. So recycling center hours would only be open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So that would have given us $106,093.42. Along with removing hardware and software and line items, like I said, $94,025.84, and to reduce those other budget line items at $174,791, and to ask the citizens yet again, instead of a $20 fee, an $18 fee per parcel, which would have given us $630,000, totaling $1,004,910.26. Again, above what we needed by a few thousand. Option 4 is to reduce the recycling center hours to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, removing all hardware and line items, as I stated before, $94,000. Reduce other budget line items, $174,791, and to ask the citizens for now a $17 temporary emergency fee. Now, these are options. I'm going down the list of options. These aren't ands as far as the options, they are or as far as the options. Option 5, reducing the recycling centers to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, $106,093.42. Removing all hardware and software line items, $94,025.84. Reducing other budget line items, $174,791, and to ask for a $17.50 temporary emergency fee, which would have given us $612,500, totaling $987,410.26. The 6th option was to reduce the recycling center hours for the same amount I've been stating, 106,000-ish. Removing all hardware software items, $94,000. Reducing other budget line items, $174,000. And mandatory furlough, 5 days for full-time and 2.5 days for part-time, those who are all in a general fund, as well as a $15 temporary emergency fee that we would be asking our citizens to pay. That would have yielded us a total of $974,000 $34.93. Option 7A, which was added, was to remove all hardware and software line items earmarked in the 2019 GOB bond, which would have given $94,025.84, and to ask for at this point, a $28 temporary emergency fee of 35,000 parcels, which would have given us $980,000 from that, totaling $1,074,2584. So it would have given us more than what we needed by a few thousand. The final one more option, option 7B, again, is to remove all hardware and software line items, $94,000. Ask for a $30 temporary emergency fee on 35,000 parcels, bringing it to about $1,050,000, and the total would have been $1,144,025.84. Option 8, which I need to look on my screen, is to ask for a now $42, just this option 8 is a $42 emergency fee attached to the vehicles. That's option 8. Now, previously in the July budget, we asked for a $40 fee. However, what has happened is we ended up having obviously a large amount of, instead of having 32,000 on 32,000 parcels, somewhere around there, because of the tax bills that have gone out over the course of the month, we can only look for trying to collect on about 27,000 vehicles. So that's why it's $42. The longer you wait, the more money you have to spend if that is an option that is chosen. Now, on top of the 5 options that were suggested during the budget season, now an additional 8 options. That's a lot of options that have been presented to council for them to make a decision as to what they're going to do. Now, I will tell you that it is not your fault. It is not my fault. And I don't believe that anyone on council should be blamed for this either. It is something that is what I consider a gross mistake that was made. But again, we have to correct these problems. We are getting a lot of calls because people don't understand the process. I get you don't understand it, and you're asking questions such as, it's not our problem, it's your problem. We pay our taxes, and you do. And the last thing I want to do is to impose any extra item on our citizens to correct a problem that we have, because it is a we thing now. I'm involved in it, so it's my responsibility to try to fix it. Again, this is the last thing I would want for our citizens. If I ask you for something, I want it to be for something that you see. I want it to be for more law enforcement officers or public safety people and more services in our county, not for a mistake, a gross mistake that was made that's causing this problem. So I am opening the floor up for questions, comments, and trust me, be blunt. I'm a big girl, I can handle it. Tell me what you feel. Tell me what you're thinking. If you need me to review something else. But I tell you, I am still today looking for other options. I'm working on some other options to try to fix the problem that we're having, but I'm still not coming up with what we need to have to balance this budget. So any questions right now on the floor?
Ms. Kathy Zarella, how many new employees and new positions were created since January 1st, 2019, and what were the total increases in the salaries?
Okay, the total numbers, I don't have those numbers, but I can tell you, as far as increase in staff, there was one person that was brought on that increased the staff, and that was my public works director. That's your one person. The rest of the people were already working for Williamsburg County and simply transferred over.
Ida Rebecca Kibben Martin says no travel outside the county for all. I would imagine that's a suggestion.
No travel. You said no.
No travel outside of the county for all.
Mhm.
That's a question mark after a sentence.
That's a suggestion. The budget for travel and training per council member, I believe, is about $7,400 a year, for which the trip that was just taken to Hilton Head, that kind of drained some of that funding source. I didn't take the Hilton Head trip this year, and I really should have been there, but I decided to yield that and use that for the budget shortfalls. And I believe other council members did the same thing.
Christopher Bookart, what about county council salaries? How much is that? They're the ones who got us in this mess.
So so salaries, that was a big deal. We reached out to, including my salary, we reached out to the Association of Counties, and if you cut council members' salary, you cut our state, governmental state aid, because their money comes from that, pretty much comes from that appropriation to us. If you cut their salaries, we will have to return some of the state aid that we were getting in from the county. So it's tied into the local government aid.
Sulandia Hammond commented, you guys really did the work with supplying all these options. So I guess that's kudos to you all.
Ms. Frances McLary, county council should make some sacrifices before we furlough people who are working for a living and or reduce essential services at the recycling centers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an option that was placed out there. As far as reducing, the last thing we want to do is make our employees suffer, and that's across the board. But you know, it's going to be totally up to council members. My job is to present, and I presented now 12 options. So it's up to them to decide, you know, what it is they want to do. And they understand the gravity of what we're dealing with right now. They're not, you know, they're on us too, looking for ways for us to cut spending and things like that. So I can't say that they're not trying to work hard at this as well.
Ida Rebecca Kibben Martin asks, why just the property owners who pay all the time?
Well, we initially, when we did the July, we made the pitch in in June, we asked for a $40, what was then called a first responder fee, because we saw where that was where the biggest portion of our deficit was coming from. However, the $40 was voted down. So at least with a vehicle fee, it covers people who do not own property. These options that we brought up now are, the majority of them, at least 1 through 7B, are what the property owners have to pay. But the other options we presented for vehicles, but we got shot down because comments, it was, you know, I own 8 cars and I got to pay $40 per 8 car, so it got shot down, got voted out.
Mr. Kirk Stuckey and Addie McKenzie also both ask, where is the law that says you can impose this tax?
If you check the South Carolina Association, the South Carolina law, let me pull it up for you. And I believe Mr. Stuckey, Ms. Nelson gave you a copy of the law when you met with her on Friday. Hold the law. You can Google Title 6, Chapter 1, General Provisions. Code of Law, Title 6. County Council can impose a fee. So you can check that out. Any other questions?
Comment from Ms. Kathy Zarella. They might have been working for the county, but new titles were created and big salary increases went along with them. Mm-hmm. That answer was a blatant lie and misrepresentation.
This Ms. who?
Kathy Zarella.
Ms. Zarella, basically, again, I don't mind you speaking freely. I have no problem with you speaking freely. However, they were already working for the county. They already had great salaries. They switched over. You can, if you'd like to, you can come up here. Those people that came over had no budgetary impact, none, zero. So I'm really not sure, and I want you to come see how that was done. I want you to see how the financing was found within the existing budget. They brought their salaries over here with them. And yes, there was some changes made, but it was not outside of what was currently being budgeted. I assure you of that. Nothing happened to the budgetary impact. Did not create one at all. And I would be open to show you how that actually worked. Again, we believe in a transparent government.
Ms. Kathy Zarella also asked, why are we paying 2 directors' salaries for one county agency?
Because that county director is off on administrative leave. And his assistant, the person that's taking over right now, is not getting paid the same thing he got paid. And by law, if you're on administrative leave, we have to pay you for administrative leave.
Beth Poston, Marsh. You can thank council members for voting against the registered vehicle fee, thus putting the burden once again on the property taxpayers. Those living in government housing will be exempt from the fee, right? Nice job, council. That was just a comment, not a question.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said there are way more vehicle owners than property owners. It would have been a little more fair to do it that way.
Yes, it would have been.
And Ms. Addie McKenzie said Title I, Chapter 6 of what?
Of stuff.
The South Carolina Code of Law. And understand, we're not the only people in South Carolina that has imposed the fee. Other counties have imposed fees to make up their budgetary shortfalls. And if you need to, I will list them tomorrow. I can give you a list of those counties. So we're not the only one in the state of South Carolina doing or asking and proposing something of this nature.
Ms. Frances McCleary wants to know, what can you tell us about transit?
At this time, that department is still under investigation, and we are awaiting the final review. Hopefully I'll have that by October 25th. And we had to pay back, found guilty of violation of labor, the labor law regarding payment to employees, and we ended up having to pay approximately $500,000 in back wages for the last 2 years, starting in 2018, 17, 18, and up until now.
Ms. Alondia Hammond comments, other counties impose fees, and that's why they are growing. Unfortunately, our fees will be to save us from bankruptcy.
And Beth Poston says, exactly, answering Solandia's comment.
But again, I would prefer to be asking you and sitting before you today, asking you to help us get something new or something that is going to benefit the county.
No more comments, no more questions.
None. We'll give them just a second if they want to think of any. We'll have this feed up on Facebook until the date of until after, or we'll keep them on there pretty much the whole time, but we'll be responding to questions. I'll be responding as long as y'all keep posting them. They'll let me know, and if you need more information, again, we welcome you the opportunity. If you want to come up here and look at any of our books, you're welcome to do so. We don't have anything to hide. Oh, and by the way, most supervisors, when they take over, they structure county government in the way in which they think it's going to run most efficiently. We voted a long time ago, back when I first started, on a new organizational chart, which contained the people that were brought on or transferred over to our administration. So it was voted on and approved.
Ms. Charmaine Blakely commented, "You are doing an outstanding job. I'm moving back to Williamsburg County from Berkeley County, and you must have fee increases to get to where you need to be."
Thank you.
Cheryl Kennedy Wren says, was the consultant approved to review jobs?
Not yet. We just finished writing up the RFP for it, the request for proposals for it, and I'm hoping to get that out real soon so we can at least solicit a company that's willing to do a reorganization of the county, because it's something that's needed. That way we'll know from the subject matter experts as to where we're having issues at, where are we heavy at, and if it is heavy in employees, then they'll let us know that. If it's heavy in service, they'll let us know that as well.
Ms. Lania Hammond, what happens if we have to file bankruptcy? Will county government dissolve?
Pretty much, if we get to that point, to where it's just our credit rating would go down to nothing. We have approximately now about 12 months to clean up our budget issues, or else we could potentially be recategorized. We won't have the stellar credit rating that we have now, which means we won't be able to purchase anything on credit. We could potentially not meet our deadlines, and one real big deadline is meeting the tax anticipation note that we took out in the beginning of every budget season. We take that amount out to get us through the tax season, and if that's not paid back, you can pretty much, just forget it at that point. It would become a significant problem, and I can't quote this, but in a case like this, it's a potential for possibly some state interference in this if we cannot meet our financial debt. So that's just not a good thing for us, not at all.
And again, Ms. Hammond asks a question, and she asks two questions. When is the special budget meeting? And is it October 17th at 6 p.m.? And the answer is yes.
Yes. So I guess we open it up this time last time it was a little too late, but we open it up again, as we have done all budget sessions, with a public forum or public comment period. This will be everyone's opportunity to say what you feel in open forum.
Ms. Frances McClary asked, why are we still building water systems? These are funded with loans which have to be repaid.
Well, it's what the citizens want in their community. Everybody wants an opportunity to have clean water, and some of these projects, or all of these water projects, have been started or in the making of being started prior to me taking office. So we're pretty much obligated to get them done.
And Suham comments, wow, similar to the school system. Thanks, Supervisor and team, for everything you're doing to rectify this gross mistake.
Thank you.
And then Ms. Kathy Zarello, will the settlement amounts to transit employees be available to the public, or do we have to submit a FOIA request?
That I have to run by Department of Labor.
No other questions at this time.
Okay, make sure we write her question down. That's it. Hearing no other questions, I thank you all for joining me this evening as we try to get through the budget session, and hopefully you're armed with more information, so when the public hearing does open on October 17th at 6 p.m. that you'll be armed with the most information that you can have to be able to stake your claim. Again, I'm still looking for other options, and hopefully we can come to, hopefully by that date, something will turn for the better for us. Have a great evening.